All right. Okay, so let's see. Now, this is something I have never worked with, live chat. So we'll see how that goes. But I see it in the background here. Anyway, so today, let's see, we're going to start with the introductory slideshow. It's very brief. Oh, I have to do screen share. I forgot that last time. Okay. Now. Okay. There we go. Now I'm going to make it a slideshow. Sometimes that's difficult. We'll see. This is the slideshow that I have as introductory for people that don't know about the One Rule yet. So welcome to Raising Happy Kids Zoom Show, episode 40, Finding and Maintaining Harmony. During this 1 hour Zoom show, I focus on sharing tips and lessons on the One Rule to raising happy kids. Each episode has at least one example of the One Rule in action, demonstrating how it helps you raise a happy child. Then, if we have guests, we have Q&A and discussion. When I talk about raising happy kids or creating harmony with kids, I bring up the One Rule. The One Rule equals agreement. Agreement equals harmony. Using the One Rule means you find agreement. That's the rule. You find a solution that everyone likes. You've found agreement. You've found harmony. Knowing and following the One Rule is all you really need to create harmony between you and your kids. In any situation where there are differences that might lead to conflict between you and your kids, use the One Rule. I learned this strategy from 3-year-old children. I was teaching them a complex conflict resolution strategy, actually intended for adults, and they taught me this. So don't think you're in for a rough time. It's simple, it's easy, it's powerful and effective. It works if you use it. I'm glad you're here. So let's go on with this. I think I'm going to have to update my slideshow. Okay. All right. So today I was going to, oh dear. I was going to talk about creating and maintaining harmony. From the conversations I've had out in the world, it seems that people would like to be able to do this. So I wanted to share with you some of the things that I use for myself. Creating harmony for yourself is a good starting point. Of course, we'll talk about the one rule also and how that can help in terms of your children, your family, even other people. Okay, so this is a technique that I learned a number of years ago from, I think his name was Kenji, and he used to do guided meditations. And this was one of the things that he did, which I, following along, found very effective. Then I forgot about it over the years, and it was maybe during the last year recently reintroduced into my life. Let's see. His first name is Brian. Anyway, the person that I got it from again. So I've been using this, and then I even forgot it again, and then found it myself. And somehow it seems even better since I found it within me. And it's really a very simple thing. So if I ever find myself not feeling as good as I would like to feel, I just breathe out through my mouth. And what happens is that whatever thought was causing those feelings, and the feelings themselves, they vanish. Either they can vanish after the first out breath, just like, or I might have to do several of them, but they disappear. And I've even tried reaching for those same thoughts, certainly not those feelings, and I would have to reach really hard to find them. So it's a really helpful technique for me, and I wanted to share it with you because sometimes I find feeling bad inside gets in the way of feeling good, and feeling in harmony inside of myself, which is what I want to do. So anytime that you would like to do that, that is a good starting point to kind of wash away with your breath any feelings that are not feeling good. Now, this is something that I have developed on my own. This next part of it, and that is that if I start building up good feeling thoughts and good feelings inside of myself, I don't want to wash them away. So I just let them be and breathe out through my nose. Because I've noticed that they will wash out too. And those are, I want to compound and build on that. So, Okay, now, one of the things that I think, let's see, it must have been maybe a year and a half ago or something. It was well, I know it came from my inner guidance, which is something I've been aware of since I was around 18. Somehow that came into my life, and that that name, inner guidance, came with this. And for that, I discovered long ago that if I followed what that inner guidance was recommending, I really liked the results I got. And if I didn't, because sometimes I deliberately chose not to test it, but just because of what I was choosing. But whenever I did not like the results. So my inner guidance recommended something to me, and this is what I call, and I've mentioned it on a couple of shows. One of my slideshows has it in it, and that is my pattern interrupt. In neuro-linguistic programming, or NLP, they have a technique called pattern interrupt, and I'd heard that term, but apparently I learned from someone who knows a lot about NLP, the pattern interrupt that they use is for the practitioner to interrupt the patterns of the people they're working with, or I guess other people too. Well, my pattern interrupt is for me to interrupt my own patterns. So for a while, when I didn't have that out breath through the mouth practice, I was using the pattern interrupt, and I find that it takes a little longer. It will still do that. It will still interrupt my thinking pattern that I've got myself into, that doesn't feel good. It will change it for me. But the breath works much faster. And then the pattern interrupt. I find the pattern interrupt not only stops the thought pattern that I'm in, but it allows me, it's kind of like, I mean, it's not really quieting your mind, but in a way it is, because it's only focused on, well, I have a little phrase that I repeat over and over in my mind. I mean, you could call it like a mantra, but I don't think of it that way. I have used mantras a lot in my life. I mean, actually, for probably 50 years, so I'm pretty familiar with them. That's how I, when I was introduced to meditation, it was a mantra came along with it. And other ones since then. So I'm sure a mantra would work as a pattern interrupt. For me, it's just a short phrase. Probably just about anything that you like, that feels good to you, could be used. I remember when I was first introduced to this, I told my sister about it, and she had been in a class where they had to create their own mantra, and she was having similar results at that time with what she was doing. So that led me to believe that it doesn't have to be my phrase, that finding your own phrase would work just as well, if not better. So to get myself back into harmony with all the parts of my being, these are two very strong, and I can use moment by moment techniques, maybe you could call them. Practices is a good thing because I do practice them. I consciously make them a part of my life. So now the other thing is, and okay, these two, I think, will work even if you don't do the other part, which I do, which is to start my day with meditation and some other practices, mental practices that I do in the morning and in the evening. For a long time, many years of my life, I would meditate in the morning and in the evening. In fact, that's kind of what got me to talk about meditation in the first place. I was talking about how when my children were small, I would meditate and they would be climbing around me and on me and whatever. And I was able to I was able to keep going with that. And that didn't bother them, so we all got along well. So, okay, what I was going to say is that there have been days when I didn't have the opportunity to actually meditate. And those days I would pay greater attention to the breath and the pattern interrupt. And so I just wanted to share that I think those will be very helpful if you take them on, even without the meditation. I personally love the meditation. So, because so far, even though they've helped maintain my days on an even good feeling path, but the kind of bliss I've gotten to feel with the meditation is I haven't when I'm just using the breath practice and the pattern interrupt, but it does help keep things good. in a ways that I like instead of ways that I don't. So if you can add this into your life, I think it would be really helpful in terms of your own peace of mind, finding harmony inside yourself. Then in terms of your children, of course, the one rule, because they are very in touch. My experience, all the years that I've worked with children of all ages, really, because even teenagers, I have seen teenagers who had really rough times, and once this way that I was teaching at the time, which had a foundation of the power of respect, that was what I was teaching. I think the one rule is simpler and as powerful, and in fact, it includes that in it without even having to think about it. In fact, it includes a lot in it without even having to think about it. But even teenagers are so close to being in harmony, and children, young children, that's where they live pretty much. If some of the outer stresses are taken off, like the children at Children's House where I was head teacher, and actually we started it up in Northern California. Once this concept of we are going to find solutions that are agreeable to whoever's involved in the situation, once that came, they took it and ran with it and lived it. So it's my belief that that's where they live. And so far, nothing's come into my life to change that. So if you're working with them in terms of the one rule, they are going to be very helpful to you, so that even if you aren't doing any particular practices to find harmony inside of yourself, working with them and insisting, at least of yourself, that you find agreement before you move on with something as much as possible. It's going to pull you closer to that realm of harmony without even other practices. I mean, this is the like 40 plus years that I've been doing this. This is it. The one rule is like so amazing what is built into the one rule. One evening I was going to be going to a meeting, and I'd had in my mind for many years that I knew that I had tools, skills, and strategies for the work that I did. And one day, preparing for this meeting, I decided I was going to write them all down and sort out whether it was a tool, like a hammer is a tool, or if it was a skill, like how you use a hammer, those are your skills, and or if it was a strategy, and a strategy in my mind was when you use and what sequence of skills you use. And so I did it, and I wrote them all down and what they were, and then I numbered them. And when I got to the last one was 108, which is some kind of significant number. But anyway, there are 108 tools, skills, and strategies built into this one rule. It's just amazing. It was the answer to a question, and the question was, what is the least amount that people need to know to be able to raise happy kids, for kids to feel good about themselves and spread that in the world? And the one rule is what came up, that's all that people have to do. And it might, I mean, I know that some people have concerns that it would be difficult, and it certainly is different than a lot of practices, but there are a lot of more positive approaches to being a parent these days. When I started out, there were practically none. I guess parent effectiveness training was the only one that I ever came across. Everything else, and there wasn't much on parenting. Like Dr. Spock was one of the parenting authorities. But most of it, there were very few people writing on parenting. Now there's so many people, and a lot of them are positive. But a lot of them also insist on the adult being the authority. And those that don't tend to have the child kind of rule the roost. Whereas this approach is finding harmony together, working together, so that the children learn how to get along with each other and with other people. And those are all the kinds of reports I ever got about my children. So it has been put into action, not only with my own children, but in all the hundreds of children that I worked with over the years, including for a while in Las Vegas. I worked as a substitute teacher. In Los Angeles, I worked as a middle school teacher in a special ed class. And in every situation, this approach brings peace, harmony, good feelings to everybody. So if you are not using the one rule, you might be glad to hear something that has come to me over this weekend. I've had a question for a long time about putting out, because I created a training called The One Rule, and and put it into a book form. The first part of the book, about half of it, it's not a long book. When I say it's about 100 pages. The training has a lot of pictures in it, and the book, I don't think I put any pictures in there. But what I did do is I went through my other 2 books, and I took whatever aspects of them would be helpful in using the one rule and put them into the book. And for quite a while, it has been available for $19. But this weekend, my inner guidance told me to, but it's not like you must do this. It's just, it's a quiet sort of thing. Anyway, I am making this where you can sign up and get it. So that I will be doing during this week. I'll be setting everything up so that anyone who would like that training and that book on the one rule can get it. Now, I got out a few things to share with you today. Let's see. I'm going to get them up. This is something, this is a recent addition to the book, is The One Rule to Raising Happy Kids. And I have recently added this into it. It came through one of these shows. It's very interesting to me how several very powerful concepts have come through these shows, especially when they're guests, but even otherwise. This one I do not think came with a guest, but I have added it into the One Rule to Raising Happy Kids, and I'm going to share it with you today. Let's see, let me get it up here, and then I'll start the screen share. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so obviously I put it into a section called preparation in the book. And actually the title is slightly different now. It's The One Rule, Start Strong. You decide that you want to have a harmonious relationship with your child. That sounds good, right? You decide that you do not want to make your child do what they do not want to do. And you do not want to do what you do not want to do. And you are going to make this work. You decide that you want to use the one rule to make this happen. This is going to become your new habit. what works for me. To create this new habit, you are going to start with yourself and what you want. You decide that you are going to let how you feel about a situation determine whether you agree with it or not. If it feels good, then you can agree with it. If not, you cannot. When you are looking at situations, you can do it in your mind. You can write them out, even journal on them. You can approach each situation as it comes up and work your way through it. You can do any or all of these for any or all situations. You choose what works best for you. You look at situations with kids one by one and decide, is this situation okay with me just as it is? If yes, good. Go on to another one. If no, what would have to change, be different, so that I could feel good about this? Maybe several versions of this situation would feel fine with you, maybe only one. This is your first practice as you create this new habit, following the one rule. This is a good practice no matter what age your kids are. It helps ensure a strong start and makes following the one rule so much easier. Okay. So, let's see. The other thing that I will do is I will share some of the book. There's also 3 magazines. I'm working on the 4th right now. If we have time, I'll show those to you. Those I'm going to make most of my work available through a member site, and that's all in process. I have a lot of it together, but the newest things have to be added. And there's actually a new website. It's not up yet, but I've been working on that also. And it's the main website is happykidsco.com, but the hosting company, which is Yahoo, is not going to be supporting that anymore. It will be available, it will be up, but there's nothing I can do on it. So the new website is going to be happykidsco.org. So anyway, I'll let you know when that's happening. Okay, I'm going to screen share again. Let me show you. I just want to show you this, and then we'll go on with, oh, well, I'm going to show you this. This is the end of the magazine, and this is my wish for everyone. May all kids grow up happy, and may the one rule be a blessing in your life. So now I'm going to go back. Oh, let's resume the screen share. I've never done that before, so let's see. Okay, apparently I'm going to have to stop this screen share and start another one. Okay, here's what I wanted to share with you. This is, I wonder, nope, okay. All right, this is the one rule to raising happy kids. I'm gonna pull it this way. This was a quote from my trainer in Montessori in India. He had actually lived in Maria Montessori's household as a companion for her son. And he learned all her work and he cross-referenced everything, all her books and trainings and whatever. And when she left India to return to Italy, when she was allowed to leave because the war was over and she was no longer considered an enemy alien, she'd been in India doing some training courses. She asked him to come and take over the training course, and he did. And he was there and he was my trainer. I think I learned things from him that I might never have learned any other way. So this is the book we've talked about. What's the one rule? Oh, one thing we didn't talk about, you might be interested, is why and how the one rule works. Apparently, our brain is hardwired to answer questions. You can try this. I found it worked for me. So anyway, when we are asked a question, our brain immediately begins searching for an answer. The one rule is like asking our brain a question, so it immediately begins searching for an answer. We ask how we can find agreement. That's how there is a direct connection to the 108 tools, skills, and strategies that help solve the problem. There may be more or different solutions, but the 108 is what came up in my life. I told you about those earlier. Let's see. Self-determined kids, let's see. This is really important. When you use the one rule, you create a heart-to-heart bridge between you and your child. That way you both feel loved at all times. You are loved and you also feel loved. You and your child get to feel it at all times. Imagine the blissful power of this. Try it, you'll see how great it works. I became aware of, well, my work in those days was called The Power of Respect, but it's very much in line with this. I was going to say, because one way I know about this is in my first main book, I have lots of examples, which, since there weren't true life examples in those days, except for what I did, I thought of, I allowed different situations to come into my mind, and I would respond as I would respond if those situations came into my life. And so that's how I know that the one rule is in line, exactly in line with what I used to do and teach. So I just recently told my daughter about this, what happened. This is how I know about this, what I call the heart-to-heart bridge. There was a young woman who had a 2-year-old child and wanted a copy of my book, but she didn't have the money for it. So I gave her a copy and she said she would send the money. So when she did send it, which she did, she had also in the meantime had her mother order a copy of the book. And her mother used what she learned in this book with her youngest daughter, who was still at home. And in the letter the girl wrote me, the girl with the 2-year-old, she said that because her mother had used what she learned in my book, her younger sister, who still was at home, a teenager, was finally able to stop going to therapy, because for the first time she felt loved. Now, I knew her mother loved her, of course, but it didn't reach her daughter. She didn't feel loved because of the way so many parents used to treat their children. I think there are a lot more parents who are doing treating their children in ways that feel good to the children. Now, the one thing I was going to say, though, oh, I think I did already, was the fact that this is unique in a way because it has the parent and child working together to find solutions that work for both of them. They may not be traditional solutions, but if they work for both of them, they both feel good about it, then that's all that's necessary. Oh, so the thing about the heart-to-heart bridge is when I got that letter, I realized one of the most important things about the work that I share is is that the love that the parent feels for the child gets to be a constant flow to the child, instead of because when you get upset, when you get mad, when you punish, it breaks that. You have to harden your heart to do it. And when you harden your heart, love is not flowing through. So if you want it to flow through, then this is a good practice, the one rule, because you get what you want and they get what they want. It's not like the traditional do as I say because I say so. That is problems waiting to happen. This is, we can figure this out. You're important, I'm important. We both deserve to have good things in our lives, and we can figure out how to do it. That's what it is, because otherwise no, I'm not going to go there. So everybody involved is an important part of the whole. So let's see. Well, you can read about it in the book. I do hope you let's see. Well, during this week, I'm going to see if I can get things set up so that you really can go and sign up to get your own copy of the One Rule to Raising Happy Kids, which has that training. I think there are like 12 lessons in it, which has that training in it. This was a really significant, the root cause of conflict. I'm going to let you read about that when you get your copy of the book. But it was really significant in this whole thing to understand what brings those conflicts about. Then my role was, my self-appointed role was to find a solution that people would feel good about, feel open to, and that would solve this problem. Because it's a problem, I'll tell you, big time. Here's let's see, benefits of the One Rule. What's the side effects of the One Rule? Confident kids, respectful kids, trustworthy kids, ending conflict, self-respect, and more, and more. There's a whole chapter on self-respect. And all of this is applying the One Rule. Some of these, actually, all of it started when I was still doing the Power of Respect. Here's a formula to get started with the One Rule. Raising harmonious kids. Self-talk, very important, very important. Instructions to our subconscious. Guidance for it. Being a model parent, but not a model from the outside, an inner harmonious model. modeling what matters to you. Trusting children. I was once told that would be too hard, but I help make it easy. FAQs, like here was one, what if I'm afraid to trust my child's judgment? What if they don't do what I tell them to do? What then? Why focus on the one rule and harmony instead of love? Then harmony with babies, pregnant fathers, that's a new, I had a little bit of that, but now it's going to be much stronger working with fathers. Very important for all the boys and girls. Okay, let's see. Toddlers. 2-year-olds, so critical, folks. If you get the book for no other reason than to learn about how to create harmony with your 2-year-old, how to raise a happy 2-year-old, if you get the book for no other reason, get it for that. And now, since all you're going to have to do is sign up for it, shouldn't be a big issue. Teens, transform teens. And then here comes a listing of books for different reasons. And here's the training, the one rule, the training. Let's see. Introduction and pre-work. Here it is, preparation. One rule, strong start. I'm going to have to fix that because I want it to say the one rule, start strong. So I'll be fixing that. Plan for calm. This is going to help all of you who want peace and harmony in your days, in your moments. Then that was a training that was created just before not just, but it was the training that was created before the one rule. It's in here as a bonus. Harmonized fast formula. The first lesson is working with babies through 2-year-olds. That the start strong is very much involved in this. Agreement, not sacrifice. This was a big concern that you would have to sacrifice what was important to you. That is not it. It's agreement. It's how do you feel good about it? And I know someone who solved this for themselves and was very happy about it. How to find harmony among differences. You don't have to you don't have to get rid of the differences. You just find the harmony there. Anyway, so I'm going to have to stop now because it is time to end this show today. Thanks so much. I hope you found it helpful and that you will, if that is your wish, find ways of finding harmony and peace in yourself and maintaining it. And so remember the practices I shared with you, or maybe you'll find your own. Okay.